Get through that, write my baseball article, fire up the basketball stuff, write my basketball.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the Awesemo.com Nhl Dfs strategy show. 8-game slate, a little trade deadline going on. A bunch of trades. Actually, a lot of the big names have already moved. Well, the biggest of the names, Taylor Hall, my boy. Terry, I don't know if your team has made any trades, but that's Terry McBride. You guys are aware. He's been on NBA shows. He's been on the MLB shows, does the NHL shows on Mondayy with me. And we're going to break down the 8 games. But what do you think? Have you paid attention to the trade deadline at all so far today?
Watching it trick by a little bit. Just, I have the, I think it's the NHL.com, just nice and easy. Just have their tracker up here. But yeah, I was watching it, making sure that we weren't going to get any earth-shattering news to change the entire slate on us, and just keeping an eye on, some interesting moves. So I think there, some interesting pickups. I like the Hall to Boston acquisition. Actually, that should help them and puts him in a much better spot. Player that I know you enjoy. So maybe you'll get to the opportunity to play him a little bit on some lines with some actually good teammates and everything, and get some value out of him. But it looks like it's been a really active day. I don't know that we had anything that really changes the nature of what we're doing today. Nothing I'm spotting, at least, scrolling down, like Jeff Carter's not going to be there for the Kings, but we kind of knew that early in the day. Carter he was traded to the Penguins. So, and to answer your question, my Rangers are signing their previous third-round pick out of college now that he won the college championship.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah, but the kid from UMass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just won the national title. Was that this weekend? I can't even remember. I can never remember days or how far away stuff is. COVID time is.
Somebody asked me what day it was the other day, and I just said, you still do days of the week? Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good point about, we don't see anything that's really going to affect us for DFS tonight, as far as I'm seeing. Maybe some unpredictable teams become a little bit more unpredictable if they're making deals, but I believe we still got a couple hours left in the trade deadline. So we'll see. Maybe some things can get shook up. There's always 1 or 2 unexpected names that end up getting dealt. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get some news throughout the show. Should be enjoyable.
Will be on top of it.
Yeah,
and I think it is. Yeah, I think it is time, like right to the end of the show too. I think it's a 3:00 deadline.
Oh, it's okay. It's 3 Eastern. Okay, I was thinking 3 Central, but yeah. So we're gonna be coming right up to it. And we'll let you guys know if we see any interesting deals. I'm in a new setup, as the people in chat are pointing out. I'm at my parents' house because there's a COVID situation at my house, which I was telling Terry and Tyler about. So hanging out here for the next, 10 days or so until that figures itself out. And I got a nice big clock behind here. This is my mom's office. This is not mine. So
I'm assuming that's the last name. We can only see HAR behind you.
Yeah. There's an I. There's an I there. Tyler cut that part out. But yeah, you can imagine. So, anyways, we've got 8 games to talk about for today. We've got Jock Market to talk about for today. Promo code Awesemo NHL20 is how you get $20 of a deposit bonus on your first deposit. If you haven't checked out Jock Market just yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. They've turned fantasy sports into a real life stock market. And so they allow you to buy and sell shares like you would of stocks, but instead of stocks, you're buying players and selling players in real time for real money, guaranteed payouts at the end of the night. So a little bit of stocks, a little bit of DFS. Jock Market kind of combines everything all into one. And if you want to go check them out, I would suggest you do. Not a lot of sites are doing deposit bonuses. Jock Market is Awesemo NHL20 is the code. Again, $20 of a deposit bonus on your first deposit. So this is exclusive to only the people watching this show, specifically that NHL promo code. There's also other ones as well if you're watching some of our NBA shows or PGA shows. But Jock Market is a phenomenal sponsor for us. Thank them for sponsoring us, and you guys should go reward them. We're going to send some people their way. I think you guys will enjoy the gameplay over there. All right, we've got 8 games. We've got about 50 minutes, only 5 minutes or so of talking at the beginning. So we're already ahead of schedule, Terry. Usually I get like 9 or 10 minutes in and we just go straight ads, but we don't have a ton of stuff at the site. You know, we had starting 9, we had promo code Dustin. If you guys missed out on those, there's always another promo code that's going to come along. So, or you can just join, use the $29.95 per week for the Awesemo Plus Platinum Weekly Package. That would be what I would suggest. Get everything on the site. We were talking a little bit before the show. We're both going to be playing some MLB tonight. I saw some tournaments on the sites in a price point that I'm comfortable with. I haven't played too much MLB, but are you on any MLB shows this afternoon, Terry?
Not today. I think tomorrow it's me, Max, and Alex. Then tomorrow and Wednesday, I think me, Max, and Alex for Live Before Lock. Today, I think we've got, I think we saw it was Alex on there. And then I'm not sure who was hosting, but yeah, not on today. But I'll be hanging around in Slack. I'll be punching up my home run picks and my article and everything as soon as we jump off of here. So got plenty to do for baseball, and I can't wait to throw my lineups in.
I didn't realize how big of a hit this clock behind me is. So chat's having a good time with that. Good to see they're engaged and ready to talk some hockey. Let's start with Detroit and Carolina. 2.0 implied total for the Wings. That's one of the lowest we've seen on the entire season. The Wings stink. They're playing a good Carolina team. They've got a 3.5 implied total. We've got Grice as the projected goalie, and then James Reimer is confirmed for the Canes. Some ownership going to Carolina top line. I haven't taken a look at the top stacks tool, but I'm assuming they're not crazy over-owned. You got a good second line as well. Stahl power play 1 on the third line, but that whole line isn't really all that appealing, I don't think, from a DFS perspective. And I'm only playing 50 lineups tonight, at least right now. You can't play 150 in the DK at $25. So I'm probably just playing 50 for now. Maybe I'll try to get closer to 100, depending on how I like my lineups. But I'm going to be cutting down on some cutting out some secondary lines for myself tonight. And it's mostly going to be about Carolina in this game. What are you liking, Terry?
Yeah, so not much of anything on the Detroit side of things to really discuss. 30th in the league, 95 goals for, compared to the Ducks are last in the league with 92. So they're right at the bottom of the league. 27th in goals allowed with 138. One of the worst power plays in the league, 11.67%. One of the worst penalty kills in the league. Not a ton of history on the lines in their current configurations. That top line for Detroit, if you really wanted to go there, it would be more about the Larkin and Zadina pairing. There's a sample on those guys, at least 316 minutes, but a sub-average Corsi 4, trailing in goals 4 by a handful, and by the expected goals 4 percentage is 45%. Give up way too many high danger chances. They're 47 to 71 in high danger chances. So it's a line to attack with the other side of things. I think everybody kind of knows that it's Carolina all day long in this game. You mentioned the totals in this one. We've got 1.95, I think, implied was what I came up with for the Red Wings based on the line, and a 25.13% chance to win this one. Carolina just in a dominant position. That top line, significant sample on those guys. If we're not including Jesper Fast in there, 554 sample for the pairing, 55-29 Corsi 4, 38 to 27 goals for advantage, with a 53.63 expected goals for percentage, 26 to 18 in high danger goals scored. With Fost, they get even better in terms of the Corsi 4 percentage, the puck possession numbers. Generated 22 high danger chances, only given up 8, and a 63.37% expected goals for advantage. I like the second line, tremendous with puck possession numbers as well, across 249 minutes back to the start of last year, 54.09% Corsi 4. Leading in goals for, nice little goals for, expected goals for advantage, even though they trail in 43 to 48 in high danger chances. So they give up a little bit going back the other way in their sample, that Niederreiter, Netchus, Trocheck line. But I think there's plenty of upside to like there. They're owned a lot less than the top line is. So I think it kind of makes sense. Maybe save a little bit of money, go to that second line a little bit more often than maybe we would, because they are one of the higher ranked second lines on the board in terms of the top stacks tool.
I think I'm going to get to a lot of the second line, at least relative to where the field's at. So they're at about 2-3% right now in DK. And a lot of that probably has to do with Trocheck's price just being so high, $7,300. But if you think about it for a whole line, maybe a little overpriced, but that's probably going to make them under owned, as we talk about all the time in sports like NHL DFS, MLB DFS, these variance-based sports. Getting over the field on some of these like quote unquote overpriced lines is a really good way to make a living long term. So I'm targeting Carolina 2 for sure. Going to get to some Carolina 1. I don't know if I'm going to get to where the field's at. I think I like a couple other spots a little bit better relative to their ownership than Carolina won. So I'll monitor them. Think if you include Jesper Foss on that stack, you're going to be a little bit different because a lot of people will go Aho and Svechnikov and leave off Jesper Foss. So he's not the biggest plug in the world. He's fine for 3,200, get some secondary power play time as well. Dougie Hamilton, 7,700. I think that's the highest price for a defenseman we've seen this season. And I think maybe Burns got to 8K early last year, but I haven't seen 7,700 on many defensemen, maybe Hedman once or twice. But wow, that is quite the price. So maybe part of the reason why I'm not getting to as much Carolina one is maybe I'd like to.
Yeah, that's up there. That's more expensive than the Red Wings goaltender. So that is a price to pay. And he's still coming in 22%. So it's not like you're paying up and then like getting somebody who's 5% owned because he's so high priced. People are paying through the nose to get to for the pleasure of rostering Dougie Hamilton. He's a great player, great spot. But it just becomes a question of, what are you doing to your value once you start doing that? What are you doing to your leverage? So that's a tough roster. Hey, how many lines you rolling out there with the game stack with the Svechnikov versus Svechnikov matchup?
Oh yeah, you got to go Svechnikov stack here. High correlation if one of the Svechnikov scores. The other one, I mean, he's just going to score. So just joking about that. I don't know. I don't usually game stack that much. I will allow it in a small portion of my lineups, but especially on an 8-game slate, like I'm not usually looking to game stack. So not a whole lot for me.
Detroit against this Carolina team would not be the spot to do it with if you were like bound and determined to make a game stack out of something.
Right. And I think the way that Detroit gets 3 or 4 goals here, if they do, it's probably via the power play. Carolina does take a lot of penalties. So if you want to go Larkin, Zadina, that's fine. They're cheap. They're going to play a bunch of minutes, but that's really all I've got on the Detroit side. I'll add in Brett Pesce for 4,100. It's a guy that I will get to definitely more than 2%. He'll probably be one of the guys that I get to a lot in the 4 to 5K range tonight. Let's go to the Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets. 3 implied total for the Hawks, 2.6 for the Jackets. Kevin Lankinen and Jonas Korpisalo. He is confirmed for the Jackets. Jackets traded away one of their best. I think he's still one of their best defensive wingers. I never look at individual players, but he's always using the shutdown role. Nick Foligno was traded to the Leafs. They got first-round pick out of it. Pretty good haul for the Blue Jackets, who probably aren't going anywhere this season. They've got some weird lines. They always do. They've kept this Domi Bjorkstrand line A combo, I think, together for the most part for like the last 2 or 3 games. Rosalik with Grigorenko and Atkinson, Tessier with Zach Dalpe and Eric Robinson is what I'm seeing. These could change snap of fingers as the Blue Jackets. They like to change things up on us. I will say I do like one of the Blue Jackets lines, and then I think a lot of people will be on Chicago. It looks like this top line, Suter Kane and Brandon Hagel is getting a little bit of ownership because you can play 2 really, really cheap forwards with $7,800 Patrick Kane. What are you liking here?
Yeah, that looks like a good spot to me. And then if that second line over there is power play correlated on the first power play, like we're seeing it right now, I think with the ownership that they're getting, they're a little bit interesting with the Brinkat Dake and Dylan Strome on that line. So I think we can get to the top 2 with Chicago. It's definitely interesting the way that both of these teams shake out in terms of the sample sizes. Biggest sample size on the board is Chicago 2 with 148-minute sample size in the current configurations. They look pretty decent, 51.04% Corsi for, 7-6 in goals for, trailing a little bit behind, but it's 48.2% in expected goals for, so they're a little bit below, but they're fine in that regard. We're not sweating that too much. Third line, only a 24-minute sample. They look good, 2-1 goals for advantage, 63.2% Corsi force, controlling the puck well. Without Hagel on that top line, you do get a 369-minute sample with a 47.9% Corsi for, a little bit below average there. 58.33% actual goals for percentage, but a 45.42 expected goals for, trailing 46-71 in high danger chances. So they are allowing stuff coming back the other way. So if you're looking at them, maybe it makes sense to also consider in different lineups going to some of those Blue Jackets line. Maybe you go to Blue Jackets 1, maybe you go to Blue Jackets 2 to throw it back against a line that does kind of give up chances the other way. On that, what I wrote was basically varied minutes and combinations, but similar results to the sample for line one. That sample for the existing line one that you mentioned, they're up to 29 minutes together, 44.9% Corsi for, given up 3 goals, scored 1, 25% actual versus a 35% expected, 3 to 7 in high danger chances. So they're giving stuff up coming the other way, but it is, they are probably going to be skating together. There is some upside. Bjorkstrand and Domi and Lane, talented guys together. So maybe it hasn't clicked necessarily, but I think that's where you're getting your talent on that team right now.
Yeah, that's definitely I think that's like the sexiest line for most people. For me, just looking at the game report, I like to go through each game report on Natural Stat Trick, assuming I've got the time, and just take a look, especially on these back-to-backs. It's pretty easy to look at some research. You can see kind of who was matched up against who, and it only takes a couple minutes. So I try to do it every single day before shows, especially. I noticed the Roslovic, Grigorenko, Atkinson line had like 20 shot attempts in the game against Chicago. And so I'm probably taking some stabs at Columbus too. I hate the way that Laine's played this season. He's been invisible for a lot of games here, although it is a pretty good spot against Chicago. I think he got on the board 2 nights ago when these teams played. Domi and Bjorkstrand power play 1. I like Bjorkstrand as a player a lot. It's just the ownership is getting me a little bit off of Columbus 1. And then I'm probably off Chicago for the most part. Talking about this top line, especially if Suter and Hagel are going to be owned, I'd like to do something like Doc, DeBrincat, and Kane, and just go with the old Chicago 1, or even like Doc, Strome, and Kane, or you could just do full Chicago 2. So I like the second lines here a little bit. You're getting lower ownership. Both looked good in the last game. And so CBJ 2, Chicago 2, those are my main targets here. I'm going to try to avoid the ownership on at least the full top lines. And then got to point out Seth Jones, 5,900. He didn't play. I thought he was going to play 30 minutes last game. I think he came in just under 27. I think he's going to have games where he does see 30 plus minutes coming up here with no Werenski. I mean, Michael Delzato is his line mate right now, but he's going to skate a little bit with the rest of the guys as well. They're going to get him out there for extra shifts. He's going to play power play 1. Don't have to worry about him getting switched off during games. So I do like Seth Jones a lot, even though I'm not totally sold on the Columbus top line. Anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, I actually hadn't noticed that ownership. So I'm looking at the top stacks tool. The Columbus top line is actually, I think, our most negatively leveraged spot. So as much as it makes some sense to go there in terms of a hockey matchup, yeah, if we're getting them that price 13.6 is great. But the ownership is basically doubled up their chance of being in the top line. So yeah, good call by you pointing that out. That makes a ton of sense to maybe start looking at a pivot spot there.
All right. Yeah.
Any love for Dizzy, considering he's going to be skating with Jones on that top pair, only 2.8K. Any love for him as a one-off?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. Like Werenski, not having Werenski is going to hurt them defensively. Delzato's a guy that blocks shots. Like you could easily see him getting the block shot bonus and playing 20 minutes for 2,800. So even though I don't think he's a great real life player. I could be wrong.
Yeah, not at all. No.
Is he? Yeah, I don't know. His possession numbers probably aren't very good, but
2,800
can block shots. Yeah, I mean, I play Josh Manson all the time for this price, so definitely willing to play some Delzato in an increased role. All right, let's go to Toronto and Montreal. We've got a 3.2 implied total for the Leafs, 2.8 for the Canadiens. Probably Jack Campbell, probably Jake Allen going as your goalies. We saw Matthews Marner with Galchenyuk for the first time. I believe that was on Friday, maybe it was Saturday night. Tavares, Hyman, and Mikheyev as your second line. Definitely 2 playable lines for the Leafs. And then on the Montreal side, they switched things up. I believe that was pregame, and they went Suzuki back with Toffoli. I think it was Jonathan Drouin. I'm seeing Jake Evans up with Suzuki and Toffoli. I don't know that I love that. And then Kotkaniemi back to center with Drouin and Josh Anderson. Byron up with Danault and Tatar. So a lot of moving pieces on the Montreal side. I do want to play something on Montreal. I just don't really know what it is with these lines. So I'm going to have to look at this one. What stuck out to you here?
Yeah, so we basically know what we're getting, even though the Toronto lines are a little shook up with Galchenyuk moving up to the top there. They had 16 minutes the other day and they have a 4-1 goals for advantage just in that tiny sample. But more to the point, Matthews and Marner over 1,000 minutes going back to the start of last year, 53.88% Corsi for, 63 to 38 goals for advantage, just tremendous, and 52.71 expected goals for percentage lead. So excellent in that regard. Just a lot to like about that spot. One of our higher ranked stacks on the board. Looks like they're coming in second overall on the board, and you're getting them at a price that puts them not ridiculously expensive by comparison to some of these other top ranked lines, and a very good leverage score. So I'm kind of interested in that on DK. I actually thought as I was clicking over there that I would find them a little bit negatively leveraged, but it looks like they're in a great spot there. So that's in consideration. Definitely same story with the second line there. A little bit bigger of a sample skating together. 93 minutes together, 57.95 Corsi for, 5-3 goals scored advantage with a 60% expected goals for. Very, very good in that regards. Giving up 3 high danger goals and not scored any, but leading in chances 23-19. So nothing really to worry about there. Just a little happenstance. On the Montreal side of things, you get that line shakeup that you mentioned. You can look to take Byron off and look at it as a Danault Tatar pairing on the top. Over 1,000 minutes with those two together back to the start of last year, 61.2% Corsi for, 64 to 33, which is a 65.98 actual goals for advantage, 61.34 expected goals for. So they're excellent in that regard. 283 to 170 high danger chances. So they generate a ton more than they give up and converted 40 to 21. That's the sample without Byron on there. With Byron, they had a 558, let's call it 6 minutes, 77% Corsi for, 2-1 goal scored to advantage, 2-zip in high danger chances. Beyond that, if you wanted to get into the Toffoli Suzuki pairing and just kind of ignore Evans, take him, relieve him if you want him for 2.5K, I think that's fine. If you wanted to go down to the Drew and Kotkaniemi pairing there, go to that line. I think you could do that a little bit. So they all rank out decently well on the board. I can't hear Jake. I can't hear you, buddy.
Oh yeah, I was muted. That's why.
I don't know why I said Tyler first.
Laughing at me back there. I haven't done that in like what? I think it's been like a month since the last time I did that. I think I did it to Josh 2 times on one show. So that was a little confusing for him. But yeah, I think mostly it's going to be 2-mans for me is what I was saying when I was muted there. Suzuki Toffoli, you mentioned. You could add in Evans for 2,500 and you just hope that line sticks. But man, the way that Montreal's been struggling in some of these games, they just got shut out at home to Winnipeg. And so I think if they find themselves down 2-0, your line is probably not doing anything anyways, but you might just lose all the correlation. They could go Suzuki back with Anderson and Drouin, and then everything's mixed up. So and then you've got the third line with Kotkaniemi, Drouin, and Anderson, and that's great, but that's a 3-wing line on DraftKings. So while it's cheap, it's a little bit difficult to fit in. If you wanted to go double center elsewhere, you certainly could. But yeah, these Montreal lines are pretty brutal if this is going to be what they're going to roll out, at least to start with. And then, like I said, you don't really know when they're going to switch things up coming off a really ugly loss. On the Leafs side, status quo for them. Marner. Matthews is going to score, as Josh always says, and he's always right. Matthews is going to score. It's just a matter of, does he score once or does he score 3 times and wreck the slate? And so he's got a great chance to have a multiple point game. Again, Montreal takes about as many penalties as anyone. That is a recipe for disaster, especially with a very poor kill, like going up against Toronto. You can't take penalties against Matthews and this top power play unit, and they have not been able to do that so far this season. So it's Toronto 1 for me. I'm seeing some mixed up power plays for the Leafs, and that Tavares is on power play 2. That could be some speculation, but yeah, Matthews, Marner, Galchenyuk. I wouldn't be like in a hurry to leave off Galchenyuk either for 3,600. So yeah. I like keeping him on there. Might come in at a little bit lower ownership than the big 2, but pretty good third wheel there for 3,600. And any defenseman here?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go to Riley, work him in with a power play stack, I think that makes some sense. Getting a little bit of ownership, but he's significantly less expensive than, let's say, like a Dougie Hamilton coming in at 5,400. Also, very productive dude. blocks some shots, has the offensive acumen, 24 assists this year, 11 points on the power play. So lots to like there. On the other side, if you wanted to go to Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, I think you could do that as well. Less ownership for both of those guys, but you're paying around the same amount, but similar skill sets. We've got 12 points on the power play for Petrie this year. It looks like 9 for Shea Weber, but both productive guys, over 20 minutes of ice time each. So definitely could go to any one of those guys.
A couple funny comments here. By the way, welcome DeMar Davis. Welcome to Team Awesemo. If you guys want to join and get some access to some funny badges, Dr. Ben Raza, you've got the Alex Caruso, Alex Baker badge as well. If you want to get access to those, you can just click the join icon a little bit under the stream, right next to, or actually right below the like dislike button. But you probably don't even know where the dislike button is.
There is no
you're only liking this show anyways. But Seth says, when I was muted, best analysis on the show for Jake in a month. So I don't know when the best was before that. It was probably when I was touting Grizzlick or something for Seth, but pretty.
Or it was just
comment.
You said the last time you were muted was a month ago, so it might have just.
Yeah, true. That's probably what it was. Our favorite troll, Seth, in the YouTube chat. Cliffy, one note on this game. Cliffy says Armia could be back tonight. If he does, he seems slotting in Evan's spot as possible. Okay, that would
be good.
Change my tune on that line. I do like Armia as a player, and especially at low ownership, if he's a late addition to the lineup. So that is a very helpful note. Gives me some direction on Montreal at least. We're probably good on that game. What are we at? Our fourth game here? Yeah, Winnipeg and Toronto. 3.4 implied total for the Jets, 2.6 for the Sens. Hellebuck and Anton Forsberg are your projected goalies. New line in Morning Skate says Liquid Demons. I'm seeing Tkachuk with Norris and Batherson. That is fully correlated on the top power play against a Winnipeg team that sometimes struggles at 5-on-5. Now, they did not last game against the Canadiens. They won 5-0, but I like the leverage spot here for Ottawa 1. They're coming in at low ownership, fully correlated, top power play. They might come up in ownership once we rerun this because they're a cheap, fully correlated top line. But going to see the Scheifele-Connor Cop trio. You know, Scheifele, he's really struggled at 5-on-5, at least defensively. Offensively, he's been fine. At least his line mates have carried him to decent possession numbers. Offensively, defensively, though, has been another story. I'm sure you've got some numbers on the Scheifele-Cop combo or the Scheifele-Connor combo. Is there anything you're seeing? Can we attack this Winnipeg one line with some Ottawa Senators?
Yeah, I actually think we can. I kind of like even though they're not a good team, not a team we've really talked up a ton outside of specific spots, I think throwing some of that line 1 up against them makes some sense. And I actually think we can go to line 3 here. Line 2 didn't really pop for me, but line 3 I was looking at, 204-minute sample, 57.03% Corsi for, 9-10 in goals for. So they've given up 10, scored 9, but a 51.78 expected goals for advantage, 33-32 in high danger chances, and 6-3 in conversions. So they make some things happen. They just play a little bit of an interesting game. Good puck possession numbers there. So I think we could throw them up against the team that, like you said, a little bit of struggles 5-on-5. Nothing brutal. If you take Cop off on the sample on the top line on the other side for Winnipeg, over 1,000 minutes. They are below average, 48.6% Corsi for, dead even with 53 in the goals department, but their expected goals for is 52.54. So that is big. So that makes a lot of sense. That's kind of what you're calling out, what you were just saying there. In the high danger department, 183 chances generated, but 259 given up the other way. 30 goals scored, 40 given up in that situation. So definitely give up a lot of chances. I really like the idea of throwing that top line there, and you're getting them at pretty low ownership. So it makes a lot of sense to me, that Tkachuk, Norris, Batherson line. I think you can definitely fire away with that. Tkachuk and Norris together, you get around 50%. Of course, you're trailing a little bit in goals, but it's 48% expected and generating more high danger chances than they yield. So that makes sense to throw specifically them at that line.
Yeah, I think so. Just to get Winnipeg out of the way here, their top line is getting a lot of ownership, and you can see why. It's a big total. It's against Ottawa. People like attacking Ottawa. I like attacking Ottawa, but usually when the skaters are a little bit less chalky on an 8-game slate here. So I think I'm more on Ottawa here. I talked myself a little bit into Ottawa 1, and if their ownership stays at a reasonable point. Like if it's under 10%, I think pretty good chance Ottawa 1 is one of, if not my highest owned line on the slate. Right now, they are one of my highest owned lines in the slate because the ownership's low. But if we plug in a little bit higher ownership, that might stabilize a little bit. But yeah, great spot. I think it's a pretty good looking line for Ottawa 1. No Batherson with Amadio, so I'm sure Cliffy is going to be sad about that. He likes Amadio. Very good call. I believe that was on the Saturday show. He called that Ottawa 2 line. They scored a couple of goals for him. So I actually didn't check with him to see if he had a big night, but I'm assuming he did pretty well that night.
Nice.
And yeah, if you want to go to White, Dadnoff, and Nick Paul, that's fine as well. I don't have a problem with that going into the Winnipeg depth. I know the Lowry line doesn't have great numbers with Kopp there, and I doubt they're going to keep up anything special with Perreault. So Winnipeg's fine. You got to like the power play at least, but I think if I'm spending up $7K for Scheifele, $74 for Connor, I'd rather just, I think I'd rather just go to like Colorado 1 or who's Toronto 1. So I'm probably not going to get to too much Winnipeg here, and they'll probably bury me with an empty netter and everyone will hit the 3-point bonus at the end. Like that happens all the time, but
yeah, I mean they are going up against the worst goals against team in the league by a wide margin. Senators last in the league with 158 goals against. Philly is second to last with 144. They've given up 14 more, and that's only one game in hand for Philly. So that's a lot of difference there in the amount of goals these guys have yielded. But yeah, I think with that much ownership at the prices that they're at, I think it's just an avoidable spot. Do you have any love for either 2 or 3 coming from the Winnipeg side, just considering since it's such a good matchup in terms of the ability to score goals on this team?
I like the ownership comparison on Ottawa 2 compared to the top line. Like I don't think there's that much separation, and you're not going to get the Tkachuk line, which is the one you would like to avoid. Not that you can't target against the Tkachuk line for Ottawa, but I don't think they're going to face Ottawa. I don't think Winnipeg 2 is going to face very much time against Ottawa 1. So that's definitely a plus, getting to go up against the White line and the Amadio line for the Sens. So I think I would go to Winnipeg 2 and just full stack them and hope they get there at 5-on-5 because the power play is going to be popular here. I don't really have much interest in Winnipeg 3 here. It looks like they're going to be one of the more popular third lines on the entire slate, which is weird to say.
Yeah, I mean, bargain basement pricing, 2.5, 3.6, 3.1 across that line. So that's, I guess, probably driving a little bit of that considering the matchup. But yeah, I think that second line is a little bit interesting there and not getting everybody under 10% and pretty affordable. Eller's at 71, but the other two guys, Dubois and Stastny on that line, not all that costly. Just looking at the sample, if you take Stastny off, 184-minute sample, above average Corsi 4 at 51, 7-6 goals for, but a 54.97 expected, about even on the high danger chances. With Stastny, only a 15-minute sample, but there were 61% Corsi 4 and scored a goal, didn't give up any. So maybe some argument there.
Welcome, Linnell Pickett, to Team Awesemo. Enjoy your new badges and your, I can't remember what our it's tier 1 membership on YouTube, I think it's called. So enjoy the perks there. I know you can read about them somewhere. Click around your profile. Feel free to fire off some emojis in the chat. Let's see. I don't think I missed anything in the chat. It's important. People ask for Cliffy's goalie takes. They want the, what is it? The Cliffy brick wall picks for net tonight. I don't know. Are we branding it that way? It sounds pretty good to me. I'm sure we could throw up a graphic next time he's on, which I think is tomorrow. So
I'm jealous of, did you hear Gundacker's name for his home run model in baseball? I'm pretty jealous.
No, what is it?
The bomb detector.
It's pretty good. Yeah, that is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I mean, we got to have graphics for that at some point, I'm assuming.
I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler's mad because I'm giving him more work, right? Yeah. He's not happy with me. He's got a list of things, is what he's telling me that he's got to do. And so I just added another one to the list for him. My bad, Tyler. All right. Number one way you guys can help us out. You can like the show. Obviously, that helps a lot. But if you subscribe to the channel, that is going to be the best way you can help us out at no cost to you. The only cost is going to be you're going to get alerts to your phone. So when the NHL Strategy Show goes live, you'll get an alert right to your phone if you set up push notifications or your browser. If you have push notifications on your browser, You'll see when me and Terry go live. You'll see when Terry goes live for MLB. You'll see when Terry goes live for NBA. Terry will probably end up doing PGA and MMA and every other sport as well. You're the Marwin Gonzalez in the best way possible of the Awesemo team here. So you do a little bit of everything, but in all seriousness, you guys will know every time that we go live, and that's only going to help you out. Never miss a show. At least the ones that you don't want to miss. If you don't play all the sports, that's fine. You don't have to consume all of our content, but we've got a little bit of an a la carte menu for everyone. Got every single sport that DraftKings and FanDuel offers in some form or fashion. So subscribe to the channel. That is the #1 way you can help us out. All right. St. Louis, Minnesota. This one is, I think, pretty important tonight from a matchups perspective. So I'm interested to hear what the chat thinks, because I haven't made up my mind as far as how Minnesota is going to match, but it's a 2.5 implied total for the Blues and a 3 for the Wild, 3 flat. Binnington and probably Cam Talbot as your goalie for the Wild. Wild back to Rask, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello. Marcus Foligno expected to return tonight for the Wild. That is huge for them. They're going back with the big guns, Eriksson Ek, Greenway, and Foligno. Arguably the best shutdown line in the entire NHL. They usually just wipe away the opposing top competition. Now, the question is, are they going to match the Schenn, Schwartz, Tarasenko line, or are they going to match power versus power, the O'Reilly, Perron, and Sammy Blais line? I don't really know just yet. I'm leaning towards that Eriksson Ek, Greenway, and Foligno will match against the Schenn, Schwartz, Tarasenko line, but I don't really know for sure. And I really don't want to play a line that's going up into the hard match of that trio for the Wild. So what do you like from this one, just from a numbers standpoint? Anything jump out to you in the top stacks tool or the projections or ownership? Anything you're surprised about here?
It would be great to know specifically which line was going to be going up against that line. Yeah, that defensive line just, they really, really stand out in terms of their puck possession ability, their goals for advantage, just everything on the board. So there's a lot to like about them in terms of their ability. I don't know how big of a DFS go-to spot it's going to be for us to go to them by any means, but we want to avoid them on the other side of things. So just in terms of like goal scoring production, you would think it might be the O'Reilly Perron line between the two of those guys. 30 goals scored so far this year in the game played isn't popping up for me. Something around 40 games. So a lot of goal scoring on that line, but yeah, it probably makes sense that they're just, big line against big line, probably going to go up against the top line there. So if we had that news, it would make the decision point a lot easier. Looking on that St. Louis side of things, the top line, 221 minutes together is currently configured 50.51% Corsi for, 47.62% goals for advantage, but a 50 in the expected. 39-36 in terms of high danger chances yielded, and leading a little bit in 5-4 in high danger goals. The second line is a little bit, just 49.47. So we're talking like a couple fractions of a percentage point below average in terms of their puck possession this year. 11-6 in goal scoring, though, goals for advantage. The expected is below average of 45.59%. Their actual is 64.71 in their goals for advantage, goals for percentage. And they've yielded 29 high danger chances and only generated 17, scoring more than they've given up in that situation. So for me, just those little numbers there about the puck possession and some of the chances, it kind of makes me think that it would lead them to match up the defensive second line from the Wild against the top line. They're just a little bit better in terms of those things.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they go. So probably that would lead me toward wanting to roster the second line from the Blues side of things more than the top line.
Yeah. I'm reading chat while you were talking, and I think if I was the coach of the Wild, I think it's Dean Evanson or Evanson. I don't even know. He looks like Creed Bratton. Have you ever seen the Wild head coach?
Yeah,
he looked like when he wears a mask, especially, and you could just see his eyes. Tyler, you got to look that up and throw that on screen if you see a picture of it. But yeah, he looks just like Creed Bratton. I think if I was the Wild head coach, I would be looking towards Schenn, Schwartz, and Tarasenko as the match. But Cliffy points out on March 25th, the Wild were at home. They matched Eriksson Ek and Greenway without Foligno against Ryan O'Reilly and Perron. Foligno was out of the lineup. So I'm probably going to go with that and just maybe cross out O'Reilly, Perron, especially because I'm trying to cut down on the lines I use tonight. and take some stabs at Shen, Schwartz, and Tarasenko. Now, if I get the line matching wrong here, I'm just going to assume those Shen, Schwartz, Tarasenko lineups are dead and move on to the next slate, or at least hope my other lineups get there. But I want to go up against the non-Eriksson, Greenway, Foligno lines. Not super interested in Rask, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello. I think I like the St. Louis side just a little bit tonight. And then one other note, Kevin Fiala is a game time decision tonight. He was a late scratch over the weekend in one of their games. And actually, one more note, this game might not happen. There's some protesting going on. The Twins game got canceled. And Michael Russo, beat writer for the Wild, is saying that St. Louis, Minnesota is up in the air right now. So it's not even on right now. It's up in the air.
I would. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, they were rolling out. Well, you would know, right? They're rolling out the National Guard and everything. It's.
I haven't been checking in. I just read a little bit this morning, and sounds like, there's protests going on. That's all I know. So
I have terrible timing for the bits, but do you want me to pull up the picture of Creed?
Yeah, put it up. That'll change the.
Let's change the topic. That'll change the topic.
Let's go to a little bit lighter of a topic. If you want to see the Wild head coach, if any of you guys have not seen it, we're gonna pull it up for you in just a second. I'm trying to watch on delay here. See how close this picture is. Is it a good pic, Tyler?
Pretty good.
All right. Let's see. This is riveting. Do you see it, Terry?
I don't have YouTube up. I'm just looking at Zoom, so I don't see it.
Everybody, yes, I'm safe. I'm good. There you go. Yes, right there. That's perfect. So the chat's going to like that. And with the mask, something about the mask, it's the hair. Like, he kind of spikes up the little hair that he has. But if he pushes it down like Creed has on the picture on the screen, it looks just like him. Like, it is amazing. So someone pointed out that to me, and I just can't unsee that now. So it's Creed Bratton is your Minnesota Wild head coach going forward. I think we're done on the Minnesota game. Had some fun with that. Did some serious talk about it a little bit there. And we'll move it on to Arizona and Colorado. 2.2 implied total for the Yotes, 3.4 for the Avs. We don't know who's going for the Yotes. It's been Aiden Hill for the last month pretty much, but Yotes played last night and Hill started. Maybe he goes in the back-to-back. Not sure. It could be Prosvetov for the Yotes and then probably Grubauer for the Avalanche. They started Jonas Johansson last night. He picked up a win for them. You'd imagine they go to their big gun tonight in Grubauer. And, looks like another spot where you can onslaught these Avs here and not much you want to target for the Yotes.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's just a killer spot for the Avs. The only thing to worry about is how do we pay for them, and are we getting into a situation where we're going to be going up against too much of the field? The answer to that second question is emphatically no. If you can figure out a way to get to them, you're getting significant positive leverage on that stack. I'm talking double their ownership share. This is definitely a spot to hammer. If you can figure out good secondary stacks and good defensemen and goaltenders to play alongside these guys and good ways to pay for it, they are exploding through the top of the stack tool. So definite yes on them. We kind of know the story about that line. 777 minutes going back to the start of last year, 61% Corsi for, 50 to 32 goals for, which is a 60.98 advantage. And they're actually behind the curve on their expected, which is 64.94. So they're actually not performing to as good as they should be, which is absurd. 178 to 95 in high danger chances generated. So lots of love there. The second line, 104-minute sample is currently configured, 58.56% Corsi for, 12 to 1 goals for advantage, which is a 92.31 actual. Comes down a little bit in the expected 57.4, but still excellent. 23 to 18 in high danger chances. I think you can throw both of those lines kind of with as much as you want. And that second line, not really the Burakovsky, Kadri, Nishkuchin line, not getting a ton of ownership. Everybody below 2%. Third line, if you wanted to go to the Jost Saad Donskoy line, I don't hate it. Without taking Saad off of there, 330-minute sample, solid 56.87 Corsi for, 21 to 8 goals for, which is a 72.41% versus 56% expected goals for. So just a lot to love in all three lines there. I don't know that I would be getting to much of anything coming back the other way from Arizona. It's, there's okay numbers in terms of some of the puck possession. It's just throwing them up against this team, this dominant first in the league with 146 goals for, second with 95 goals against, fifth best power play in the league. So it's not even a great spot for the power play from the other side of things. I just don't love it. Do you have a spot where you would go to with Arizona? Would it just be, cross your fingers with line one, nobody on them, and throw them in there? Or?
Yeah, it would probably be that. You just hope that they can pick up a power play or two early in the game and get a goal, and then maybe they don't spend a ton of time against McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, but very, very low probability play, I think, for Arizona. One, a line that I think I like and Cliffy likes, and I'm sure you like as well. Like, they have pretty good numbers, especially defensively so far. I mentioned the matchups the last time I was on the show, though. Like, they saw the Ducks twice and the Kings twice in their very small sample. So not really, like, this is the complete opposite of the Ducks and the Kings. Like, this is the best team in the NHL right now, best defensive team. I think their top four defensemen are insanely good, and they're not even fully healthy yet again. But I'm all over Colorado. Their ownership will probably come up a little bit by the time we get to lock. At least that's what I'm anticipating. But if you don't like that, drop down to line 2, Val Nichushkin. I think getting a much-deserved promotion up to the Kadri line. He's played very well this season. 3,200 doesn't get power play time, but that's fine because even power play 2 time isn't really that much power play time for the Avs. We're playing them for the 5-on-5 time, and it is going to be a great 5-on-5 matchup for the Kadri line. So really love Colorado 1, obviously, but love Colorado 2 as well. And then since I am cutting down on Arizona or on lines tonight, not playing my normal 150, at least on DK, don't have the ability to because of the way that they structured the contest tonight. I might just end up crossing out Arizona entirely, at least the forwards. If you wanted to play a Chikrin, he's a guy that, you could see him getting the combo meal bonus, 5 blocks, 5 shots, 3 blocks. You could see that happening tonight for 6K. Spend up defensemen aren't amazing tonight. No Hedman, no Yossi, guys like that. So a little bit of interest in Chikrin at 6K if you wanted to one-off him there. Cale Makar is who you're going to if you're playing Colorado 1. Otherwise, if you want to go with Taves or Girard to save a little bit of money, you can play them with Colorado 1, 2, or 3, in my opinion. They're going to play a lot of minutes tonight. Anything else in that one?
No, I think that hit all the high points. I was going to throw, if you really wanted to save a little bit of money on Colorado defensemen, you could throw Ryan Graves in there and hope for the shot blocks. 74 shots blocked on the year, 19 and change minutes per game. Yeah. So it's a decent price time, 4,200.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning Graves because I actually do like him a lot for 5,900. I always forget to mention him on shows, but I end up playing 10-15% of him pretty often. Sam Bennett to Florida, that doesn't really move the needle. I saw Carl Soderberg going back to the Avs. Whatever. Maybe I can't remember. Is he a face-off guy? I don't even know. But not really moving the needle with these trades. Maybe we'll get one in the last few minutes of the show. But let's go to the Knights and the Kings. 3.1 implied total for the Knights, 2.4 for the Kings. Leonard and Cal Peterson are your expected goalies. Not necessarily the same as last game. We do have the Kings at home, but real tough spot for me to get to a lot of LA. They do have a fully correlated top line with Iafallo, who I believe got a pretty lengthy deal earlier today, maybe narrative street there. But yeah, this is a Vegas game for me. Shocking, I know. I always play Vegas, but what's sticking out to you?
Yeah, we always play Vegas. We always talk about Vegas every time we do a show, and today's no different. They stand out. All 3 lines, I think, are playable at worst. So the top line, 548-minute sample, excellent puck possession numbers, leading in goals 46-19 over that sample, 548 minutes back to the start of last year. That's a 70% mark. Their expected is 63%, which is still phenomenal. 133 high danger chances generated, 71 allowed back the other way, converted 27 times, only allowed 13 goals. Excellent line. The second line, 838 minutes together, 56.51% Corsi for, so excellent with the puck. A 52% goals for advantage with a 56% expected goals for, so trailing not quite as good as they should be according to the numbers. 176 high danger chances with 142 back the other way. The third line, only a 43-minute sample is currently configured, the Tuck Nozick and Kolasar line, but very solid puck possession numbers, a 59% expected goals for percentage versus a 50%. It's 2-2, so it's not a huge sample, but they generate some high danger chances back the other way. I think they could turn it around on this Kings team pretty easily. The Kings one line, yeah, a lot of correlation, a lot of experience together there, over 1,000 minutes back to the start of last year, 53.58% Corsi for, so good with the puck, 42 to 34 goals for, which is a 55.26% goals for actual, but a 36.53 expected. That is a big differential. So they are playing well above their heads. So that's an interesting spot to me. I think it just, just makes all the more reason to be perfectly willing to throw Vegas lines at this team. Beyond that, not a ton to love on the Kings side of things at all. I just really don't see throwing any Kings lines at this excellent Vegas team.
Yeah, I think, there's somewhat of a case for LA1. There usually is. They're usually fully correlated. That's fine, especially when they're on home ice. I really do like the Pacioretty, Stone, Stevenson line tonight, even going into the Kopitar, Iafallo, Brown line, which they're probably going to get hard matched against. They were hard matched last time these teams played in LA, but I'm not really worried about that. Vegas one did a great job of generating chances that game. I think they're just a better line, and sometimes you just got to bet on the better man. They are all in the top power play with Shea Theodore, so I like going Vegas 1 plus Shea Theodore. Vegas 2, I'm surprised they're not that popular. They've been super popular recently. Maybe they'll come up a little bit, but I'm seeing them below 5%. I'm definitely in on that as well. And Vegas 3, the problem with Vegas 3 is that Kolesar doesn't, he'll play under 9 minutes some of these games. And while minutes aren't that, I don't pay attention to them game by game that much. You can't be playing 5 minutes in some of these games and be rostered in DFS. I don't care who you are. So Nozek and talk two-man is fine.
Yeah, he's averaging 9 minutes, 12 seconds for the season. So, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. So, I think we are good on this game. Before we wrap it up,
Alec Martinez on the blue line.
What'd you say?
Alec Martinez on the blue line, 5,500, 0.7% ownership right now, 122 block shots on the year.
Yeah, him and Pietrangelo, I think, are great options. Two guys that also have great chances at the combo meal. They're a little bit priced up, but that's going to make their ownership quite a bit lower. Before we get into the last game, you can see over my it's probably my right shoulder on your screen. It's my left shoulder, though. Use promo code Awesemo NHL20 for a $20 deposit bonus. That is over on JockMarket. If you guys haven't checked out JockMarket just yet, you're getting a free $20 on your first deposit. So might as well go do that. It's fantasy sports, but a stock market. So you can buy and sell players during games, get real money payouts. They're guaranteed, just like your other DFS sites, but a little bit of a twist. I think you guys will enjoy the gameplay over there. Let's get into the last game. We got about 2 minutes before we got to get out of here. Ducks and Sharks, 2.5 implied total for the Ducks, 3 for the Sharks. Probably Ryan Miller going up against Marty Jones. Gibson started last night. This is very one-sided for me, but we've been sharked a couple times recently, so I'm a little bit worried, but I really like the Sharks here. What do you like?
Yeah, I think it's a good spot for the Sharks. Definitely a team that we can get to here. Bear with me 1 second. It wasn't put up there. I was responding to a message. So, yeah, going up against the Ducks, it's just a great spot. Ducks last in the league in goals for with 92 on the year, 135 goals against is 26th in the league. They are dead last with a 10.99% power play and only 77% on the penalty kill, 22nd in the league. So I think you can fire away with that Sharks top line. We like getting to them a lot. And there's definitely a lot of experience there. We've got 493 minutes together going back to the start of last year. Excellent with the puck, 25 to 24% actual, 51% actual goals for, 53% expected. So trailing a little bit behind their expectation. Generating a ton of high danger chances, 96 to 84. So just have not been converting at the highest rate, 14 converted, 15 allowed in that sample. So I think there's definitely plenty of room to love the Sharks line there. They'll be a little bit popular, but I actually expected a little bit more. I thought they would come in mid-teens-ish, and it looks like they're a little bit under 10. So I think there's room on that line. Second line with Balsers, Hurdle, and Meyer, I think you can definitely go to that line as well. 145-minute sample together, 59% Corsi for percentage. Another line, 58.33% actual goals for, and 65.96% expected goals for percentage. So been trailing behind what their expected production is. Part of the reason they're 47 high danger chances generated, only 21 back the other way, converted 5 and only yielded 2 goals. Probably should have converted a couple more of those, and that would have made up that gap in the expected goals. Duck side of things, if you wanted to go to the top line and maybe some of the power play units there, you can, but it's a weak Sharks penalty kill, I guess is where I would look. So I'd probably look to grab like Henrik and Silverberg and maybe put him with Cam Fowler, put him with Getzlaff, and grab some of that power play there. Sharks 26th in the league with a 76.15% penalty kill on the season. That would be the real way I think I would attack with the Ducks. That top line, 45.54% Corsi for, just a kind of bumpy even strength line. So don't love that. You take Henrique off the second line, it's a 310-minute sample, also below average Corsi. Just not a great spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe some things that I'll end up swapping to on the Duck side, but this is, again, Sharks game for me. Love San Jose 2, love San Jose 1. I hope the ownership sticks because I think this might be my highest exposed team of the night. But we're pretty much out of time. So just know it's a Sharks game for me. If I end up swapping to Ducks 1, it's because I don't have the nuts. But, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Thanks to Terry for providing some awesome analysis. As always, we've got MLB coming on right after this. The tip-off show for MLB coming up at 3 Eastern time. Don't go anywhere. Go right to the Awesemo YouTube channel. Find out more great content. We've got hours and hours still to come. Hit us up in Slack if you got any questions, and we'll talk to you in 24 hours.